to our next speaker. We got Jacques Chapdelaine on. I had the privilege of working for Jacques in Montreal, and I learned a ton on the pass game a little bit. I paid attention to that a little bit, but I learned a ton just about game planning and how to break down an opponent and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. So I look forward to listening to Jacques speak tonight on the pass game.
Well, fellas, thank you for being there. I'm probably going to lose half of you guys now. Most of you guys are O-line coaches, and we'll go on moving on because we're talking about patterns. However, I'm going to throw a little bit of a carrot at you guys here. Towards the end of this, we're going to take a pattern, basically. It's a pick play. It's a very simple pick play that I would probably venture to say a lot of you guys are using. And we're going to show the coaching points for the receivers. We're going to show how we're going to get the quarterback to read this. We're going to flip the pick play around. So as opposed to being an outside-in pick play, we're going to make it an inside-out pick play. We're going to show it against in the midst of various formations. And the carrot that I'm talking about for you guys that are coaching up front is we're going to bring basically the component of that pick play into a zone read concept that we've been developing for the last couple of years. The zone read concept, actually, it's really kind of interesting that Coach Jones was talking about gap blocking here. I think that some of the elements of that zone read concept can go in to some of the gap blocking schemes. However, I'm not going to speak about the blocking scheme. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit how that works using those pick plays. So as always, when you guys look at pick plays, there's a lot of things that go through your mind, and most of them will be that you'll be thinking that those are good for man concepts, and they are most of the times. We do want to try to bring those pick plays. This is a two-man pick plays I'm going to start with, and in our terminology last year, we called it B-rain. The B terminology for us was basically to identify that we're thrown to a two-receiver concept. So I appreciate the fact that some of you guys are in the States right now, and some of you guys are in Canada. So some of the coaching points, obviously, will be mostly with an emphasis on the Canadian game. You'll have to adjust that a little bit, and we can talk a little bit about that. As opposed to Coach Jones, I'll probably field the questions at the end, so please write them down. Otherwise, they'll interrupt the flow a little bit. And I'll have, I am not a Twitter guy. I'll have an email to give you guys at the end. So just hang on to your questions. I'll be more than happy to deal with that. So the B-rain play is this. That's basically a high-low. You know, when I started playing in the CFL in 1983, Coach Adam Rita had this play, called it 0-7 rub. And calling it a rub play as opposed to a pick play, basically causing an issue where we would make one defender go over top of the receiver. What we've done, though, over the years is basically coach the pick a little bit different. And depending on the alignment of the defensive player that we wanted to actually pick. So as I'm saying, again, let's start with this concept. This is basically a high-low concept to the outside where the number one receiver, the receiver on the outside, will basically go and come down and run essentially a corner route after the pick play. You'll see some of the, I took this out of our playbook. So we do give them a read if the outside third is occupied, as in cover 3, for instance. There's no point running to the corner if the cornerback is waiting for him to be there. And then we're going to get number 2, the slot back in the Canadian game, basically to come upfield a little bit and come outside. So if you're stationary, we did run this when I coached NCAA in 2014. We did run this as well. And some of the coaching points as far as motioning along the line of scrimmage or the downfield motion and waggle, if you like, can be basically changed with some of the alignments that you have in the NCAA. But let's start again. What I did is I highlighted in red basically the receiver and that I would be talking about and the coaching points that are appropriate to that receiver. So what we're saying basically for number 1, we're telling him to release an aim at the outside shoulder to the downfield hip of the halfback. So we call him Canadian game. We call this guy the halfback. Could be a safety in American game or a linebacker, depending on who that player is. And what we want to make that player do is basically go over top. So as the receiver comes down, he'll just chatter his feet a little bit. He won't get into contact with him. They'll try to make him bubble over top. But we'll not waste time. We don't want to get this receiver to think that he's basically just a decoy in a concept. There is a possibility that a corner may jump the route. And so for that reason, we don't want this particular player to lose his leverage on this particular halfback in this situation. And we do have an opportunity for us to throw the ball to that corner route. You'll see this in the clips that I'll come ahead. As the halfback starts responding, we'll basically adjust our aim again. We'll build vertical stem to maintain position on the downfield hip. We'll force the halfback to escape over top. If he escapes over underneath us, it's not the end of the world as long as he's a little bit deeper. However, when he comes underneath, from a quarterback's point of view, and you guys got to put yourself in the feet of the quarterback, his sight line is such that to throw this outside line when there's a DB, such as a halfback coming down underneath there, it makes it a little bit uncomfortable to throw that when that guy comes underneath. So you want to make him go over top. You don't want to cross his face. That means that you don't want to go inside if you don't have to, because once you go inside, in order to be open again, you'll have to go back over the top. So I've got a very small principle, very easy, simple principle that applies to running routes. And I tell receivers that you never cross a DB's face twice. If you cross a defender's face twice, then you basically undid the leverage that was actually a positive leverage to start with. So in other words, if number one comes, crosses the halfback, ends up inside, then has to cross the halfback's tail again to go back out, you'll agree with me that when he was inside in the first place, he would have been fine just as he would have come upfield. So if you cross a DB's face twice, you did work for nothing. Okay. The two bottom points here, basically, we're saying that if the deep outside third is there, then we're going to keep going forward. Here's a new coaching point, though. So the higher the halfback is, and now we're going to take that very simple coaching point that we had at the beginning, which is still in the dark font underneath there. And we're going to adjust, we're going to tweak, we're going to basically customize that coaching point depending on the alignment of the halfback. So we're saying that the higher the halfback, then the wider apart from number two you can be. So in the Canadian game, you can waggle down the line of scrimmage versus a low halfback, you want to waggle down a little closer so you can get good leverage on him and you can get into the pit a little earlier. However, when the halfback is high, such as a cover 4 look, a cover 3 weight cloud look, or some kind of a zone look, such as match maybe, you really don't need much of a pick on that halfback. I mean, the reality is for number two to get open on a 6-yard flat route, you can do this without a pick. However, what we're telling the number one receiver now is this: if the halfback is high, what you want to do is you don't want to get too close, because now the closer you get, the chances are that you're going to bring the corner a little closer to the whole deal. So what you want to do, especially when the corner is a little bit higher, you want to stay a little bit wider, and ideally you want to actually split the corner and halfback. This is an important point. You want to split the corner and halfback, and you want to force the defenders to make a decision as to whom will be covering the flat route. So as you can see right now, if the corner were to decide to drive down on it, by not going too far inside, you got great leverage on the halfback. The halfback is not on top of you right now, and now the corner route's got a chance. If you push in the middle now, there's another case that can happen. You can actually cause the corner and the halfback to play both this midline pattern and deepen at the same time, as one is playing the possibility of an in and out type of situation. So you're deepening two DBs with one receiver. And then obviously the flat route will benefit from that. And obviously the simplest thing is if you go straight through again by splitting both the corner and halfback, and the corner stays high, then it's an easy completion to the flat route as the halfback is high anyways. The third coaching point is this, is you don't want to radical too far inside, and I kind of talked about this a little bit, whenever the halfback is soft. So, but I talk about the radical as basically this angle release at the beginning. which is towards this DB. So the higher the halfback, then the higher release can be. The lower your halfback, we talked about coming down the line of scrimmage, but now the flatter your radical release has to be. Okay, so you really only need to split the corner and the halfback to force both defenders to stay high. Here's a third coaching point that a lot of people don't bring into the mix. And it's a situation where the corner is actually pressed on number one. So, and then usually when the corner is pressed, playing man, the halfback also is playing press. So you get a man coverage situation. It's a great situation for this kind of a route. However, the danger is you've already told number one to come down low if the halfback is low. When the corner is low as well, you don't want to be as far inside. You have to be conscious of the fact that if you release inside your corner with a low cornerback right now, he can see that flat route right now and jump. If you guys, I think it was in 2014, maybe, I can't remember, the Seattle Seahawks were in a playoff game, and there was a pick on a goal line throw. It was a very similar pick as this one. It was an inside pick. It was thrown to the right, and it was down in goal, maybe 2 or 3 yards. And one of the issues was that both DBs were very low, and number one, or the receiver that was running the pick, did go right to the DB to try to create the pick, and it forced a tough situation. What we tell people is when the corner and halfback are both low, we're going to tell number one actually to change his rule. He's no longer going to try to pick the halfback by going at him. He's going to actually run, and this is very important, to the outside shoulder, not the inside shoulder, to the outside shoulder of this of his own cover defender. So he's going to take a quick step inside, or he's going to waggle inside. He's going to force inside momentum by that defender, and then he's going to run right as outside corner, essentially taking the corner upfield with him and using the corner as a defender that will pick now the halfback. This happens a lot faster. But the reason also for doing this is not only do you prevent the corner and the halfback to switch quickly, but you also maintain outside leverage on the cornerback in case things fail and you need to throw the ball to the corner route. At least you've got positive leverage, or outside leverage in this case, on the cornerback. Okay, so we will see all these here in clips. Number two is quite simple. So the guy that's the recipient, the intended recipient, they're both recipients, but the intended recipient here is really number two. And what we're going to tell him is to, in a Canadian football game, is actually use a waggle, go downhill a little bit, sell the vertical route, go slightly inside to try to bring the halfback size inside and try to bring the halfback's body position inside a little bit. That'll make the pick a lot easier for number one. We're going to use a slide inside radical. That's that little part of the line at the beginning here to help, especially versus press halfback, to make sure that we can run away from him. Make sure you get some downhill speed. Always stem vertical to create a bit of space after the inside radical. And finally, what we're telling the quarterback is this. We're going to pre-snap the contour. So what we're telling him is look at the depth of the corner and the halfback at the beginning. See who's high, see who's low. The quarterback has to understand, okay, this is important, the quarterback has to understand the techniques that the receivers will use, okay? Because now he will understand what might happen in the overall concept here. So pre-snap the contour, whether you've got a high halfback and a high corner, or a low corner and a high halfback. Is the halfback inside shade on number two? That would be a preferable situation. And then if maybe the corner is pressed and the halfback is pressed, those are all important things here for him to understand, as he has to understand what the techniques of the receivers will be. And finally, we'll read outside in. So whether it's on his first step, if it's a quick protection type of thing, 300, quick drop step, one step, you'll look outside in. This can be used also in the zone read concept, where you're going to come back outside and look at these. You can do this as well, definitely. It doesn't have to be in show pass protection. You're going to read outside. You want to see what the corner is doing. If the corner's driving down, you have to believe that you have that throw over the top. If for some reason halfback is taking it away, then at least the safe option is to throw the ball out of bounds. This is obviously not a second and long in Canadian football or a third and long play in American football. If the corner gives you the space right now, we're telling him, look, this play is intended to gain 6 yards. If you have the 6 yards, take it right now. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. As the game goes on, if you use this several times in the game, you'll see the corner will start baiting the throw. And then what the quarterback will have to do, especially an experienced quarterback, is he'll have to shoulder pump the throw, maybe get the corner to drive down and take the corner out. So I want to show some video examples here of all this good stuff. Let me see if I can get out of this real quick. And go to
Coach, without the waggle in the American game, how would you release number 2?
Yeah, so what we did in the NCAA, what we did is we did 2 things. We used the shift where sometimes we took number 2 and lined him up as a number 1 off the line of scrimmage and send him in shift motion, and then basically timed it up so that we could snap the ball just as he was going inside. That was one way. So start an outside in motion where come in. And what happens with that is usually the defender that you want to pick ends up cozying himself inside. So you get a leverage. Right. The other way that we've done is actually bringing that intended target receiver from the other side of the field. So you can actually, again, whether it's a shift or it's just an early motion, just send a one guy. Just bring him across the motion, across the entire line. And then with speed, though, see if his, if you're in a red zone and you have from film study, pretty much that you're going to get man coverage, you want to try to get that DB to run with him. And then as he just clears the tackle, you want to snap that ball and just get your number 1 to go and get the pick on that. The other one is basically, I don't know if you guys use that term, disco motion. So you line them up as a number 2 and just get them into a quick shift or a quick motion, come inside behind the lineman and just sprint back outside. That's another way of doing it. So you don't have to get what you do lose, and I'm totally in agreement with what you're seeing here. You do lose the downhill waggle, but now what you can do in American football is create more lateral leverage, if that makes sense. Right? Okay. So I've got clips from 2 seasons here, and I'm going to start with this season, guys. So, Paul, I trust that you will tell me if you guys can't see this. Just let me know, please. This is in Montreal 2015.
No, did you share screen yet? We're still on your PowerPoint view.
Okay, so what do I have to do here? Go back to this.
Share screen again, and you're going to choose your DV Sport as your active screen.
I see. Okay. Got you. Got to pick the right screen now because I've got a couple of DV Sports applications. So, how's that work?
Yeah, we're good. You can full screen it.
Yeah, I'm going to do that here. I actually know how to do that. Just see if it does that for me.
Oh, did you hit the optimize first? I forgot to say that.
So my F7 doesn't quite work here. Let me see. Full screen. Here we go. We're good?
Yep, there you go.
Perfect. Thanks for being patient, you guys. So what we're going to do here, this may help you a little bit with the motion, the question from the American question here. You get a little lateral motion. You're seeing the pick's going to happen at the bottom of the screen. The number 1 receiver is actually jersey number 2 is on the right with the numbers here. And right now you can see that the defender that's going to cover number 2 is actually quite high. So although he's inside, he's actually a little further inside. My number 1 receiver is a little further inside than I'd like him to be. You're going to see that when he releases, he's going to release fairly vertical. And his intent now is to go and split those 2 guys. Those 2 guys get confused. This is the kind of clip that you want to have for a clinic. It looks great. Okay. But what you're going to see is essentially confusion between 2 DBs. We have the easy throw in the flat, and we're going to take it. Okay, that's exactly the type of thing that you want to create. You can see most of the people. It's against blitz. It's quick show pass. We've got time to get rid of the ball. The quarterback is not great. He's got a lot of chattering feet here. Don't look too much at that, please. We're going to focus on a catch and a first down and moving forward here. As opposed to going to end zone, a lot of this will be wide zone angles. This is another play, same idea. This is going to be at the top of the screen to your left, guys. And again, you'll see jersey number 6 coming in. Now, everything is a little bit tighter now. Okay, now you're going to see number 1 receiver, who's jersey number 7 in green. He sees that the DB that's going to cover number 2 is going to be tight. And see what number 1 does. He's actually going, he's ignoring the halfback. He's ignoring the DB that's covering number 2. And he's going right to the outside shoulder of that corner. Now, I would have loved for him to push him a little bit. But really, we only need 1 yard here to score a touchdown, or maybe 2. The quarterback, unfortunately, doesn't throw the ball as accurately as we'd like to. But this is what we're talking about. Just that little bit of push is actually enough. And what the receiver does, number 2 does here, is good enough to get open. He's not quite pressed. This should have been a touchdown. Let me get into another example. Now, we're going to bring, guys, you can do this differently as well. We're going to bring that pick player now from an alignment. This is at the bottom. He's going to go into the box as if he's blocking. So you can do this as well. You know, we've got questions from some of the coaches in the U.S. is how do you do this without the waggle? I could see this. You could take your fullback, for instance, and line him up just outside the tackle in the box. He looks like a blocker, and bring him down. You can see number 1 down here. He's looking inside at the defender that he's got to pick, at this guy right here, and he's quite soft. So he's going to go and try to split those 2 guys. Here's our guy in the flat right now. And as he sees this, he sees that the corner actually pressing him and going inside. So he's going to take the outside shoulder of that corner and essentially rerouting that defender over top of us, allowing for an easy possibility in the flat. We're looking at different things here, guys. Just focus on the pattern down here. Got a rookie quarterback, and he's he gets a big completion here. He was creative. If you had a quarterback, if Coach Jones had a quarterback that couldn't beat and ended up 3rd against a pregnant lady, this one would have ended up 1st. But may not be in other aspects, though. May not have ended up 1st in other aspects. He was happy to run, loved to chatter his feet. Here's another one. So this one is actually with a rollout, guys. So just wanted to show what you could do with different aspects. The pick is going to be to the wide side of the field. And in Canadian game, the beauty is that these defenders are usually fairly soft to the wide side of the field. Number 1 really comes way too tight at the top of the screen. Really doesn't need that. And I think all of you guys would agree right now that number 2, if he were by himself against even 2 defenders, probably could get open. But what happened is this, guys. So this is the thing, is we want to split both these guys. And I feel that our receiver went a little too close to the halfback here. They did switch, they drive down, and the quarterback here is actually looking for this route. And I'm not sure that the receiver really believed that we would throw this route. Now, if he doesn't get so close to the halfback, I think we've got a great look. This is a rollout protection. We're just moving right now. Quarterback looks outside, sees the corner drive. So we're talking about some of the reads that we're talking about, and this is an easy throw. Guys, if you're like me, I like to throw this. This is probably a first down throw for us, 1st and 10 on the left-hand side. I like to throw the ball whenever we can take away the pressure of having in protection with the lineman. If I can move the pocket somehow, and Coach Jones had talked about same as, if I can use the same concept as another concept, but change maybe the protection, change the launching point, take away the protection pressure that the lineman may have, I love to do that. This is with a little slide protection here. So same idea, okay? It will be at the top of the screen. So here's an interesting movement that we're gonna have with the 2 guys at the top. They're gonna come in the twin movement, the 2 of them. And you can see right now, both of these defenders are inside these two receivers. So you know right now that someone's going to get open. If you have a double break, out break and route, and both defenders are inside of both of them, one of them is going to be open. It's going to be a little slide protection to the right here. And we're going to bring both these guys in again. And then we're going to change. Number one is outside. Although he's off the line of scrimmage, he's going to follow his pick rule. The halfback is quite soft. He's going to try to split the difference between those two guys. Number two is going to go back out to the flat. They don't switch. We got an easy throw right now. And this is going to be, although the pattern is going to be identical, the name of the pattern is slightly different on your screen. You're going to see what happens when they drop number one and you have a little bit of chance. We saw this game earlier. We saw the motion and we saw what happened. These two guys were a little bit different. The halfback were higher. Now the halfback is lower. You're going to see number one coming and he's going to be a little bit more focused on this. And then there's the pick. He's going to try to make him go on top. He's going to chatter his feet. But there's hesitation by the cornerback here. Both feet are flat, and he's going to take it up. And this is basically part of the rule. It doesn't happen often, but to this receiver, he feels that he couldn't have gone to the corner route because this defender was in his outside third. It doesn't have to be zone, as you can see here. He's got leverage. The quarterback, whom I may not have been as positive about in some of the other throws here, does a great job. Understands what's going to happen, sets back, just put a little bit of air under the ball and let the receiver go underneath it. Let me go to, I've got another route. This is going to be Paul, I'm going to be all over the place here. I'm going to try to go quick. I'm going to have to, if I understand this, Paul, I'm going to have to share screen again. Yep. With the other one. So I got to stop share, Paul, every time I do this?
Yeah, you can do that and then just go.
And then share screen with the other. So what I want to do now is bring you to 2019. The concept was used in 2019. But it was used with a keeper here. And this is actually, when you do this, I kind of like to use different formations. So what we'll see here is we'll see the point. This is out of bunch. This number one here, and unfortunately in the U.S., you guys can't do that with bunch. But you can do the pattern with bunch. You just can't motion downhill like he's going to do. We're going to take the point here and basically seal the end so that our quarterback has a little bit of time coming out. Everything else will happen after with these guys. They'll pick and they'll run the play as we've been coaching it. So just because, I guess the point that I'm trying to make here, just because you're introducing the concept in a different formation, and although it's a two-man pick, you can also use it with a three-man concept here, using the point in this case as an edge relief here. He's there. He's going to take some of the edge off. Quarterback has a little bit of time. Quarterback has his eyes. This is off a zone read action, basically. Quarterback sees the corner jump. And the mistake, if you guys been on top of things or right now, there's no outside third defender. We really should go to the corner. And the young receiver sees a touchdown. He gets excited here. This is a third down attempt for us. And he keeps it vertical. But the problem in doing that, guys, is that now the quarterback doesn't quite know what he's going to do. Okay, so if he'd gone to the corner, we may not have scored a touchdown, but we'd have surely gotten a first down. Unfortunately, we try to make it happen. He tries to adjust, and it doesn't quite work well. But for the purpose of this clinic, guys, what you can see here is this, is the two cover defenders that we're interested are here. What we talked about, the coaching point, is splitting the difference between these two guys. And that's what we do. The receiver goes to the flat. The defender that was actually covering the point actually comes off here very quickly. But we do still have the opportunity to come off and have a great play off of this. And again, way to throw the ball without coaching a whole bunch of protection. This is basically just a keeper protection for these guys. Quarterback changes launch point, really has no pressure for a good while. We would have had the flat route as well, would have been a contested throw probably. But as you can see, it works quite well here. So let me go to Clinic, the PowerPoint. Well, the PowerPoint, I'm good, Paul? Yeah. Good, perfect. So what I'm going to do now is basically take this particular play that we taught, and I've already shown you a little bit of a different formation. I'm going to take you into a four-man line, and a lot of you guys run tight end formations. I love tight end formations because in the Canadian game, it gets all these guys off the line of scrimmage. All you guys in in the U.S. are looking at this going, we can't do this. I'm gonna throw this at you guys right now. While all the Canadian coaches are all studying your fastball offenses, your up-tempo offenses, I'm gonna say this. I'm not sure that you guys would be studying our motion if you guys were allowed to use it. There's an interesting thing that you can do with all motion. I know that you compare it to arena football a little bit. It's a little bit more complex than that. So what we're taking here is this. We're taking the same play and we're going to add it to basically another easy concept, an out-breaking concept. We're going to bring these guys to the outside. We're going to bring the same coaching points, guys. And when I say this is, again, if it's a press corner, number one, it's going to rub the outside shoulder of the defender. If it's both defenders are soft, which you guys are coaching Canadian football, you see this motion here, you're going to say, shoot, there's going to be softness for sure. So you're going to get that. You're going to read this outside in again. You can run this out of this formation. You don't have to have two formation. This one is done out of zone protection. Essentially, it's quite simple from that point of view. So let me go here to the video examples, please. I got to stop share first. Here we go. I got to share screen. I got to do. So this will be from 2015. Let me go back a little bit. So you'll see those receivers coming across. We're not in the double tight end here. Number one receiver will come downhill. Okay, and again, with U.S. football, there may be a shift. Maybe there's only one guy motioning after this. But there's a softness that we're talking about here with the corner and halfback. So just by rules, right now, with these two guys being as soft as we are, we're saying the corner route, the pick route, is just going to try to split both these guys, and we're going to come out in the flat. Okay, the quarterback's going to set his eyes out there. We're going to have a quick throw on into the flat. It's fairly easy pitch and catch. For you guys, as far as linemen are concerned, I talked a little bit about up-tempo. This is great up-tempo protection. It's slide protection, zone protection, not too many calls to make by the guys up front. You can use that quickly again. And I'm going to show this one real quick here. It's not a four-man deal, but it's basically out of a different formation again. I'll come back just because it takes a little bit of time to go. So this is on top. I'm going to take the point here, and it's basically going to go up here. And then the two other receivers are going to use the same coaching technique, same as again. So again, the two defenders are quite high. You can expect this corner out to try to split him. We're going to try to pinch inside here a little bit. And again, in American football, maybe it's quick motion inside and going back while everybody else is stationary. My video is lagging on my end. So there's a flat that's available right now. Okay, number one may have gone a little too long in there. I would love for him to split these guys a little bit better. Here's the same concept here. And it's going to happen down here at the bottom of the screen. He's going to be the point. Again, this is one of the things that we can do in Canadian football is move into the bunch. Here's our corner is low already. So quarterback that looks into this right now, the motion did not. If you notice this, when jersey number 6 here went inside, nobody followed him other than this guy inside. You kind of know right now you're going to get kind of a zone look. So at this point in time, you get both these guys are soft. There's our pick corner route, and there's our flat route. Let's see what the corner does. He deepens a little bit, gives us enough room to hit this. Again, 3rd down and 1. It's a quick throw. We get that. We'll show the same play here in the same game in the red zone. You'll see what happens here with this. So you'll see the point, and you'll see what happens a little bit with his defender as he comes in. So for you guys that coaching in Canada, you'll see that he'll probably motion inside with him, kind of give you a pre-snap indication that you're going to get man coverage. Your recipient's going to come from the other side of the field. It's actually going to be this fella here. So again, this is the red zone movement that you're getting. And right at this point in time, the cornerback lets number 6 go, but you can see it's going to be man coverage. Everybody's coming. And here's our deal now. So there's a low corner, there's a low halfback. We can go inside right now, but we'd like to pick the outside shoulder of this press defender. We really don't need to pick this guy. He's so soft that it's not an issue. But we were still going to want to stay on the outside here just in case the quarterback somehow has to throw this ball. Let's say that this other defender, the defender is covering the point, there he is right here, would have come off, then we would have had to do that. But it's an easy throw. Quarterback makes a nice throw. And again, that could be in U.S. football, it can be a wing alignment, and you bring somebody else into the wing that makes it bunch. So 89 could come across real quick. That's not so much downhill. That's more lateral leverage here in this case. All right. So let me go back to this. Now, what we're going to do here, and when we talk about same as, we still have to have some flexibility as far as that's concerned. So am I back in PowerPoint, Paul?
Yep, you got PowerPoint.
Beauty. All right. So what we're going to do now is take that outside concept and bring it inside. So we call this the Puma Rain that you just saw in the bunch here. So like I said, just to save a little bit of time. But what we're going to take is take this outside concept that you see on the top corner of your screen and bring it inside. Okay, it's the same big play. This is actually the play that Seattle ran a few years ago. It's the same pick play, but inside. The difference is this, guys, as opposed to having a sideline that basically borders the concept with no other outside defender in the corner, now you have a corner, a halfback, and you do have to be cognizant of what's inside. It could be a safety, it could be a linebacker, linebacker more than likely in Canadian football, so you do have to be conscious of that situation. But the coaching points are the exact same that we talked about. Okay, you want number 2 now, who's now doing the pick, to release to attack the inside shoulder, in this case, of the corner. Rub so that he has to reroute over top. That's the same thing. If the halfback is low, so if this inside defender is low, and be ready to look inside real quick after this. So you don't want to go and cross his face twice, because you are also a viable alternative when the halfback drive, just like with the other concept, when the corner drove down on the lower route. Okay, if the halfback is pressed, work, okay, to release to run inside shoulder of the halfback. So again, it's the same idea. If the halfback is low and he's pressing, don't go to the corner now. Try to rub the inside shoulder of the halfback. It's the same coaching point that we had for the other play, but flipped inside. If both the halfback and the corner are deep, then outside radical a little bit, but split the difference between both defenders to try to take them both deep or force the halfback to react. Number one is important here on this here. I'm sorry. Number two is don't radical too far inside, as hard inside whenever the corner is soft. You really only need to split the corner and a halfback to force both defenders. That's what we talked about. When both the corner and the halfback are soft, we want to push them deep. We don't need to radical as far. Versus man press again, this is what we talked about. Go ahead and press them. Now, the quarterback now needs to read this inside out. You're still going to read the pre-snap contour. You want to know where the free safety is, because if the free safety is low, you may have a better shot, especially when a halfback drives inside at this route inside. You got to read it inside out. Halfback through the linebacker. You have to be conscious of the linebacker. And you got to have different formation variations. There's one here, the two receiver kind that we just saw. Okay, and there's a bunch kind here where maybe you take the point and you release them inside, go inside over here, and then you pick, basically you bring number 3 becomes your new number 2 and you come back underneath it. The read for the quarterback will be the same as far as that's concerned. Let me go to video here. All right.
You're a Zoom guru now.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this is hurting my brains here right now. So I'm kind of going a little bit backward. I'm going to go to that last formation. I just realized that I flipped the 2019 deal. So what we're going to have here is him coming through right through there. We're going to basically work outside a little bit, and our number 3 is going to become our new number 2 in this. Right now, this looks like cover 0. We've got basically close to flat top. Again, we're going to read, see what's happening inside here. We want to make sure that this defender doesn't come inside. And what's interesting is the quarterback makes a little bit of a mistake, but it's a good mistake. Okay, in the sense that right now this is the throw. This is where we'd like to get to the ball. The quarterback sees this here, and we've got this receiver's a beast. Rodney Smith was very good for us last year. He's going to go up for the ball. And the other thing is this is actually, I think, one of the first times that Dakota Krukop played last year. So he wants to make sure that every throw is going to count, and he throws it up there. But for the benefit of this clinic here, just looking inside at the inside defenders, you can see how we're coming inside, and the ball probably would have gone inside here. Let me go back here. I apologize, but I got to go back to the 2015 to show you the other. Okay. So right now, this will be at the top of the screen. I'm lagging a little bit. This is the very simple concept. The 2 receivers themselves, the free safeties in the middle. We're going to come downhill and basically pick out here. We're going to come back underneath here for number 2 to pick for number 1. So right now, the other thing is I'm going to show this as far as these 2 defenders are concerned. You can see that's from film study. As you look at this, these guys want to switch the route. And again, he's softening them up. They're both softening up. So we're going to see essentially to some extent an opportunity to go in between. But now number 2 actually sees the defender inside a little lower, and he's going to go ahead and decide that he's going to pick his inside shoulder. And as he does that, the play essentially becomes a slant for number 1. And this works out well because the corner wanted to play with basically his backside to the sideline, giving you inside leverage. I haven't run this many those concepts that often, but what I did instead is I brought the concept inside to an inside receiver. So as opposed to being 1 and 2, you'll see now I call it breezy, and it's between these two guys. I'm sorry, it's going to be between these two guys here. We're going to get him to clear. And again, he's going to be both soft. He's got the same coaching point. He's going to split, and we're going to break inside right here. My quarterback had an option on this to throw on the one-on-one on the other side. We've got a pretty good receiver on the other side, so we take that. But you can see at the bottom here, that would have worked nicely as well. So obviously, he draws a new sideline for us, number 1. What number 4 does is a control route as far as that's concerned. We'll see it on again here at the bottom. I like to combine the concept with if I'm using it in this formation with a one-on-one on the other side. We go to the one-on-one. Let's see here at the bottom. This is a good demonstration of a defender being low, and now as opposed to going and picking, this defender is going to take the inside shoulder of his own defender and work him upfield. There it is. And then we're going to come underneath here. We basically took our own defender and caused a pick with our own defender. So that would have worked well underneath as well. Would have worked better than this outcome. And then what we can do is take this inside concept and take the outside concept and go and basically what I would call is have your cake and eat it too. So what we're going to do, this is the breezy concept that we just showed, and we can use it in RPO as well. Okay, and I'll have some clips of that in a second. So with an RPO, the nice thing is that we're controlling the linebacker. That's a critical defender in this concept here to try to get him inside. But the coaching points will be the same. I'll show you some of this, and I want to also show you this. So I'm kind of moving quickly because I see my time also moving forward here. What we're going to do here is after I show you the RPO, we're going to get into this concept. So you recognize on the outside, number 1 and 2, running essentially the very first concept that I showed you guys today. And inside, it's a variation of the second concept, the end breaking concept that we have. And basically, we're telling the quarterback, depending on the contour, depending on what the free safety, where the free safety is, to either pick the outside guys or pick the inside guys. And you'll see that. And I'll be more than happy to answer your questions after you've seen that. Okay, I'm going to finish my PowerPoint, so I have to come back to this. But what I want to do is this will basically trickle into this zone read concept. And from this last concept that I showed you, where number 1 and number 2 are running the corner route and the flat, and these two guys, I want to show you how these man picks can actually be very good against zone if you tell them to basically run the routes and occupy these spots, which are the spots that you're occupying in this last concept that we're introducing. You'll see that in a bit here. Just hang tight with me here. Let me get to these other concepts first here. So we use this in a red zone, but it can be used in other places as well. So this is the combination of the out breaking picks on the outside and the in breaking picks on the outside. So let's look at this. You see these two guys, now break it down. You see a low corner. We probably want to go and rub the outside shoulder of that corner right now while we move outside. That's exactly what the players are doing. This is a good job from that point of view. From the other side, we're saying, well, the halfback is soft, so now go ahead and move up here. We're going to come outside of this, and we're going to quickly come inside. As opposed to breaking all the way inside, we are telling our receiver to come inside all the way. There's no free safety. And when the quarterback, there was no free safety, would tell the quarterback, take a read here and see what he does. If he switches, take the higher defender. This is why you don't want to cross a defender's face twice. If he had gone and picked him and worked all the way outside and tried to work all the way back inside, he would not have been able to be open here. The flag is on now, by the way. Here's another example. No free safety. Here's with motion here. So again, you see number one at the bottom. Let's break it down real quick. Tight corner is going to work the outside shoulder. Okay, no free safety. I know the quarterback's going to work this route right now. They switch again. We just split the difference. Both DBs are about the same level. It's very difficult for the defense to win on this. Again, no free safety. He's a little softer now. So you see number one's going to come and pick number two here at the bottom. We get a pick. It's a pretty good pick. This could be called. We're working it pretty hard. So we could have gone there, especially if there would have been a defender in the middle of the field. There's no defender, so we're working the routes here. Those guys love to switch from film study. We take it inside again. We use slide protection. It's quite easy. So if they want to come with a lot of people, we can use it. You'll see what happens when a quarterback doesn't make the right read. I'm all for showing you what. We'll start outside. Corner is soft. Halfback is low. So we're coming a little further to try to pick him. This would have been a good throw. There's lots of space here to throw the ball. If your quarterback can be accurate like this. If you look inside, there's no defender. He's actually late coming over here, and he doesn't switch. So if it's noisy up there, it's cloudy, just come back to your little bang back route down here. I know your US guys are looking at this goalpost up there and going, what the hell is that doing there? It's the 13th man for us. So we use it, just so you don't think that we use it just in the middle of the field. We use it in the red zone, sorry. We use it also in the middle of the field. There's a little motion here. So number one comes in. He's going to set up the pick on the halfback. Right now, the corner is high. There's someone in the middle. We're not going to play with number 3, number 4. The ball should be going outside right now. You're going to say, well, why did we throw inside? Well, again, I go back to the fact that this is a young man who's in his first year in CFL, and there was some mistake. That would have been an easy throw outside for us. So let me go to 2019. And I'm going to go back a little bit to that inside break with an RPO. And I want to show you this because it's, you know, everybody's looking at pick plays, and I think it works well against zone too if you've got the right elements. So with the RPO, we're going to use these two guys here. They're going to pick for one another. So number 3 is going to come. He's going to basically pick on this defender. Right now, we're in a position of winning. So you guys that coach Canadian football, you get into what we call 23 formation, and they keep the adjusted linebacker to the 2-man side to help a little bit. You're in a good position, especially with a run fake that's going to bring this linebacker who's in a dual responsibility. He's got to actually cover or play run. So he wants to play run right now. When you go into that little fake underneath, you've got a great look. And again, he doesn't have much of a pick to do here, so he's going to make himself available on top. We made the catch. Unfortunately, we didn't hang on to the football in this particular play. And we're going to bring it at the bottom here. So again, both defenders are soft. We can go ahead and split them. It's going to be an easy pick. Come underneath. We're basically off the RPO read. Got to know what that inside linebacker is. And if they want to do something like this, again, never cross the DB's face twice. May have a big play. There's another example. So that last one was 32 formation. This 20th, we're back in 23 formation. So again, as Coach Jones said earlier, same as. It's just different ways. So again, this receiver's got to pick this defender. He's soft. He's not pressed. So he doesn't have to worry about him. He's going to basically come and take him and create some softness here. We're going to slow down a little bit, come underneath. Linebacker gives us a good look. We go in the second window with the throw. Try to make a 34-year-old guy look pretty good. I'm lagging a little bit here. I apologize. This may be the same play. No. So it's the same idea, the free safety jump. So if you guys have the benefit of having a cowboy and you can show your quarterback when this happens here, you would love for him to hang on to the ball and take this other option here for the bigger play. So this is that four-man pick that we talked about earlier, from 2015. So we've got one picking for two over there. That works out pretty nicely. I like what one did. He didn't go too close to the halfback. He's available as well. We've got this. There's no one in the middle. We're going to play this. However, he's playing high right now. The quarterback's going to come underneath to the easy throw. If you look outside right now, the corner is tight. We're probably going to pick his outside shoulder, but there's no one in the middle as well. So let's start with number one and number two. There we go. Outside shoulder. We would be good in the flat right now. That would be very nice in the flat. But as we told the quarterback, no one in the middle. Play between 3 and 4. Ball could have gone either way. He chose to hit the future Hall of Famer, which is not a bad decision. So you've been saying, well, have you ever hit number one? Well, here's number one. We're going to hit number one on this one here. We use a little bit motion. And to the quarterback, he wasn't sure that the middle was going to be open. So again, I'm trying to rewind a little bit here. You can see Armani Edwards down at the bottom. He's going to take the outside shoulder of that defender because he's pressed. We're going to push upfield a little bit and come down. So in U.S. football, you guys could be staggered a little bit more than your normal split just to create that. And we just sneak the ball in there. We don't need to get much more than breaking the plane. It's a good throw. How 3 and 4 worked out is actually pretty nice. We would have had the big play over the middle as well. So very quickly, I'm going to finish with this, and I'm not going to show as many clips. Paul, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm running late here.
You're all good.
But we talked about, Coach Jones talked about a quarterback that may not have been as fast and as athletic as another guy. You know, we went into the season, and in 2018, I had the benefit of basically watching a lot of film and not having to coach a whole lot of people. In other words, I was unemployed, and I saw an issue with the zone read, especially in the CFL, because of the yard. I saw a lot of ends taking three quick steps inside, and regardless of what was happening back here, making it very difficult for the quarterbacks to be right. So my son Justin was coaching at Bishop's University, and I said to him, because he had a quarterback that was a clever kid, he made good decisions for the most part, and you know, he had good football sense, but he may not have been the most gifted athlete at that position. And I said, you know, could you try this for me? And he did. And what we did is we did a zone read with a little bit of a movement in the mesh that can be done also in the gap blocking game. I've seen it in gap blocking game, but I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think I've ever seen it with the zone read. We actually read the end on this. We get a little jab step like we do with the quarterback. And I don't want to spend much more time than this, but we get on the edge faster. And what I want to show you is this little route. So you saw earlier number 4 going over here, number 3 coming back here. You saw number 1 coming inside and running this corner out, and number 2 going in the flat. What we're doing now is occupying space, basically, to try to take advantage of zone situation. In Canadian football, we often get a situation where defenses will keep the halfback and on the backside hash, on the boundary hash, and bring the free safety here, basically creating a situation. You got 3 defenders over 4, so you know it's going to be zoned for the most part. The plays also get him in, but we get the quarterback outside real fast, and he's going to go look outside quick. And the key here to this route is where the landmarks are. And I said to you guys, I'm not going to spend much time on this because all I want to show is how do you take a pick play, one that's out breaking, one that's in breaking, and then evolve it into something that's more than that. We're basically creating sight lines for the quarterback here, and we're just putting the receivers in landmarks so that the quarterback doesn't have receivers hiding other receivers. May get a little bit of movement here through football savvy. That's it. I'm going to show you one more, and I'll wrap it up just because it's a different quarterback. Now, we do have, in this case, 4 defenders. The halfback stayed here, but the free safety is really a cover defender, and there's our thing. And then you can see the quarterback here. And McLeod will be the first one to say that he's not the fastest dancer on the floor, but he's a clever guy. He's got good athletic ability within his skill set, and he gets out there against a defensive end that's really a decent guy. And it makes these 2 concepts that we saw today with the out breaking and the in breaking. You can see now at the end of the play, this is basically it. We did adjust him to sit there, you know, as opposed to banging it back and as opposed to continuing inside. These guys would basically sit in those areas, forming essentially a little odd box over there for the quarterback to see. And guys, if you're looking for ways to throw the ball and put conflict on the box, put heavy conflict on the defensive end, this little zone read mesh here does it. And then the conflict of the pass with that is a nice conflict as well. Any questions?
Well, I saw you use quite a few protections in it, but a lot of it's 7-man, right? No, some 6, but a lot of 7.
No, actually, most of it was 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
Slide and man.
Yeah, because even when we slide with 7-man, we give that back a check release. So
Right.
if no one's coming off the edge, he's going to go and release so that you can take a defender out of the picture. You know, I enjoyed what Paul, you work with different guys, they have different things. Well, I remember when I went to Montreal with Paul, we introduced a protection. I said, we're going to check release. We're not going to scan the back. And we call it basically a back-dependent protection in the sense that the back is involved in the protection, but he's also an important key in the pattern. And Paul had worked mostly with scan protection, and a lot of you guys do. I think there's a lot of benefit to scan protection because as far as game planning, it's a little bit easier. Your back's going to make you right. But at the same time, from my perspective, teaching the quarterbacks, the back is also in the box, and he's keeping an extra defender in there sometimes. So I remember after a few games, I think, Paul, if I'm not mistaken, we had no sacks after 4 games. We may not have had all the wins, but he goes, you know, that back protection that we're using, you can use that anytime you want. And And it was good because you could see that sometimes you don't need, Ted, as you're talking about, to keep everybody in there all the time. Now, I'm not saying that you don't. I use 7-man protection quite a bit too as well. But I do think that at times it's good to get the back out. I did not show you today for sake of time. The same concept that we saw today was used with a free releasing back as well, where the receiver would pick for the free releasing back. So now we're looking at 5-man protection.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I love to talk shop. If you have questions, even if they're not related to the topic that we had today, I'd love to do that as well. I've got a little bit of time right now, other than paddle boarding. You guys, unless it's a nice day, you guys can catch me at home, and I'll try to reply as quickly as I can. Thank you.
Here we go. I don't think there's any more questions, right, guys? Well, perfect, Coach. Thank you a lot for jumping on. That was good stuff. I know I've heard the concepts all the time, but now knowing more the intricacies of how those receivers mesh and stuff makes a lot more sense now. I've heard a lot of B-rains and stuff, so. But that was great stuff. So like Coach said, if you guys have any questions, shoot him an email, and he'll be able to help you out a little bit more on that stuff. And I'll be getting all the coaches roundtables finished off here shortly and getting emails out to you guys on those. There's a clinic going on this weekend. I don't have all the info right with me right here, but it's Your Marial is putting it on, and they've got a lot of great speakers lined up for it. So if you guys, I'll put it up on the Facebook group. If you guys want to have a look on there, they got a bunch of good speakers lined up for that one. So lots of great free stuff to take in there as well. So it was great having everybody on. Thanks a lot, guys, for jumping on. Have yourselves a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you all.
Appreciate it, Paul. Thanks, Coach. Great clinic. That was awesome.
Thank you, Matt. Take care.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Paul.